In this presentation, we'll cover the second key point in Topic 1, Foundational Theories of Play, Pedagogy and Childhood. I've used the term foundational here to describe some, though not all, of the theories and philosophies informing contemporary understandings of children, play and pedagogy. The EYLF tells us that a range of theories inform approaches to learning and development. You'll hear more about many of these when you complete the unit Understanding Children and Young People. In this unit, we're focusing particularly on the implications of a range of theories on discourses of play and pedagogy in the early years. Like all terms, they can and do take on many definitions, and so let's take some time to look at what these theories mean in relation to the way they've been employed in the EYLF and in this unit. You'll need to be mindful of these differences when you're writing your assessment tasks. Theories are practical. Philosophies are conceptual. And perspectives are contextual. As you will have read in Doris Bergen's chapter, play theory covers an extensive range of ideas. As I said, this presentation will take you through some, though not all, of the foundational philosophers, theories and perspectives underpinning contemporary understandings of play and pedagogy in the early years. Now, I want to make it clear that those terms are not cut and dried, and you'll see through this presentation I've tried to articulate when we're talking about a theory, a philosophy and a perspective. So from the earliest of times, great philosophers like Plato have been considering the same questions you'll encounter through this unit. Plato, like his mentor Socrates, spent a lot of time thinking and writing about teaching and learning. You'll see from this quote, Plato emphasises the outcomes of education, suggesting a play-based approach is advantageous. Plato was a philosopher. He expounded the virtues of play as a pedagogical device, but did not develop any specific theoretical or practical approach. John Amos Comenius was a Czech educational reformer and religious leader. He believed that universal laws or stages applied to the growth and development of a child, and as such it could be developed into a universal teaching system or method. He emphasised that children's playful activity had educational meaning and was arguably the first philosopher to associate the concept of play with fun. John Locke was an English philosopher who developed a theory of development referred to in the literature as the theory of ideas. Prior to Locke, many philosophers claimed that some ideas, such as mathematical truths and beliefs in God, were innate, meaning humans were born with these ideas. However, Locke refuted this notion, stating children are born as tabula rasa, or blank slates, and that whatever comes into the mind comes from and is shaped by the environment. In other words, that ideas are learned. For Locke, the main goal of education was self-control, and that excellent citizens were formed through positive playful experiences involving repetition, modelling, and rewards rather than punishment. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was a Swiss-born French philosopher. Inspired by Plato's theories or ideas about growth and development as being the unfolding of innate ideas, he initiated a romantic stream of thinking based on biological metaphors of health and growth. Challenging contemporary ideas of original sin, Rousseau espoused humans are innately good and saw the purpose of education as enabling this inherent goodness to unfold, and believed that children should be given the freedom to play with little or no adult interference. He was the first philosopher to theorize child development as a series of stages, claiming nature as the hidden tutor, prompting the child to develop different capacities at different stages of growth. Rousseau's treat your scholar according to his age philosophy forms the basis of what we now call child-centred education. Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi was a Swiss educational reformer who advocated education of the poor and developed teaching methods aimed at strengthening children's own abilities. Following Comenius, Pestalozzi emphasised the importance of play, but added objects that could be manipulated and used a sensory approach to curriculum. His pedagogical theory stressed the importance of moving from the known to the unknown, from the simple to the complex, in order to pace the learning schedule to the child's unfolding development. Pestalozzi's curriculum, modelled after Rousseau's plan, detailed in his famous book Emile, emphasised the use of group activities structured around children's abilities, not their age. It's interesting to note Pestalozzi's position in the role of the teacher in play. Friedrich Wilhelm August Froebel was a German educator and founder of the concept he called kindergarten, which when translated means children's garden. His curriculum was based on the theory that play was not trivial, rather it was considered to be the work of the child. Such was his esteem for the value of play, he equated it with all that is good, and that it is through play, the plays of childhood, that the seeds of later life are sown. Of interest, Froebel's method was extensively used in Australian infants classes, and he was the first educator to train women as teachers. Maria Montessori was an Italian educator and founder of the education system that bears her name. She was the first Italian woman to graduate with a medical degree, who, after working with mentally retarded children in a psychiatric clinic, applied her interest and studies to education, specifically a theory articulated in practice as a method for teaching children. In 1907, Maria opened her first Casa dei Bambini, or Children's House, which operated a preschool program for children aged 3 to 6 years in a slum district of Rome. Later, her theory and associated methods were implemented and still exist across many countries, including Australia today. Montessori held strong views about education and was highly critical of conventional classrooms. Her theory of development argues that children learn from their own maturational prompting, which she called sensitive periods, and that it is during these periods that children seek stimulation for growth and development. Montessori schools, originally houses, continue the philosophy advocated by Maria, namely to teach through play in a stimulating and age-appropriate environment. The teacher's role is to set up the learning environment, observe the children carefully, prompt engagement in child-selected activities, and if and when deemed ready, present new materials to the child. Deciding where to stop and start this section has not been cut and dried. There are other influential foundational theorists who could have been included in this presentation, and you can read about those in your required reading and the additional resources listed on the site. However, for now, this snapshot presents a comprehensive overview of many of the foundational theorists and philosophers informing contemporary understandings of play, pedagogy, and more broadly, childhood. In Topic 2, we'll pick up where we left off here, looking at some of the developmental theories informing play and pedagogy in the early years. Finally, this list of reference was used to develop this presentation. While they are not all cited in the slides, the sources have been used to develop the accompanying narrative. Please note the use of APA 6 referencing style. You'll find links to many of these resources in the topic study guide and in the My Reading section of the Learning site.